Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rumbi. I'm a doctor, a new one at that, just graduated. And as many of you know, I'm a graduate medical student in that I did a course, midwifery, before I studied medicine. So I have received a couple of emails recently just about how did I fund medicine as a graduate, especially because I did a 5-year course, not a 4-year course. And what advice would I have for anyone applying or anyone already on the course just thinking about their financial options. And I thought, why not sit down and make this video? Now, I have made a similar video before, but it was a while ago, and things have changed. By a while, I mean, it might have been like 4 years ago I made that video. So things have definitely changed, updated, and I can tell you now that I'm at the other end of it, as opposed to when I was at the beginning. So I will link that video either in one of the cards up here or in the description below. So let's get right into it. So you want to study medicine. You want to do it as a 5-year course or 4-year course. Now there's pros and cons to both. Pros to the 4-year graduate course, obviously it's 4 years, one less year of tuition fees. The normal undergraduate course, yes, it's 5 years, more tuition fees to pay, however a higher chance of getting in just because there's more places, whereas the graduate entry courses tend to have smaller cohorts and smaller places. Just it is what it is. So there's pros and cons to everything. Now this applies to everyone because whether your tuition fees is £9,000, £9,250, £4,000, £3,000 a year, however much your tuition fees are, it's still a lot of money. These are thousands of pounds. Most average people can't just wake up and be like, yeah, £9,000, that's okay. Here you go. That's not the reality for a lot of people. So it is a lot to consider. So I would say, first of all, as you're applying, don't let finances discourage you from applying, but they should be a really important factor in your planning process. So when you're applying, think about, how much will it cost per year to study medicine? Times that by how many years? That's just the tuition fees. How much on average would you factor in for books, for transport? Now, as medical students, we don't get, funding for going to placement and coming back to placement. Maybe some unis provide that, but my uni certainly didn't, and it's not it's not a done thing for medicine to be funded for getting to and from placements. And some placements can be 2 buses away. They can be a half an hour car drive away, So factor all of those travel costs in. Factor the costs of, books. And I know these days we're so lucky. So many resources are online. You don't have to buy books. You can also borrow books. That's what libraries are for. And most uni libraries are free to borrow books. That's what the point of a university library is. So you don't necessarily need to buy them, but some people like to buy their books. Other things that I do say you might need to factor in the cost for is like question banks. A lot of us use things like PassMed, PassTest, and to really access the good resources, it's not free. It's only a few pounds, it's like £20 or something like that a year. But some people are members of more than one of these question banks. They have 3 subscriptions, so that all adds up. So factor all those in. So I would say think about your tuition fee costs and then add, 10%. Well, maybe not 10%, that's a bit much. Add like 5% for other costs. That's now before you've even mentioned your accommodation. How are you going to eat? What are you going to breathe? What are you going to dress in? How are you going to pay for that stethoscope? So there's other costs that we've not even factored into our calculation. But just to give you a ballpark, do that. So now that you have the number, that gives you a guide of, okay, where can I find this level of money per year? Most unis will allow you to pay by direct debit. So my uni let me pay in 3 installments. So you'd give them a deposit and then you could pay your tuition fees in 3 installments. Now this video is relevant for graduates because if you're doing an undergraduate course, if you're doing medicine as your first degree rather, you can get student finance funding, or that's correct at the moment. So this is kind of only relevant for those of us that couldn't get student finance funding for studying medicine. So yes, you could pay in installments. So if you divide that number up per year, that then gives a nice smaller chunk. Now, different people have different sources of income. Do you have a job? A lot of other people that are, you know, studying medicine maybe have YouTube channels and use those as streams of income, be it small. Can you get help from family? That's not the case for everyone, I know this. But if you can get help from family, that would be really good because it takes a bit of pressure off. And like, where can you save? Where can you save money? Where can you make more economical choices to enable you to be able to kind of have this money to apply? Now, like I said, don't let finances discourage you from applying, because most of the time, if you get in and you get a place, you will make it work. It's not going to be easy, but you can make it work. Universities have hardship funds. Now, these don't necessarily pay out a lot of money. They pay out hundreds of pounds as opposed to thousands of pounds, but it's 100, 200, 300, 500 pounds that could help you with what you need at that time. And these hardship funds, unfortunately, you can't rely on them on the long term, but they can help you out in your moment of need. There's also scholarships. So when I was applying, there was like a leather sellers company scholarship. The BMA do a scholarship if you're a graduate and have a certain amount of debt. All various societies do kind of scholarships and bursaries. So please, Google is your friend. YouTube is your friend. Google all these things. And if there are sources of, you know, it could be like a £200 grant here, £400 here, £100 there, that could all add up towards your rent for a month or two, you know? So definitely look into scholarships. Aside from that, you could write an essay. Lots and lots of essay competitions go on, and most essay competitions have a cash prize. So for first, second, and third place, that could be £100, £500, you know, £50, £75. It really does vary, but if there's things that you're interested in already, then consider writing an essay on it and enter into an essay prize. Now, this counts for definitely medical students, so in years 1 onwards, definitely, you know, consider entering an essay prize. And it's free. It's not, you don't pay to enter, you just have to make time to write the essay in amongst all the other things you're probably doing. So that's something else I'd say consider. Now, other things maybe to look into, I'm sorry, I've not really structured this video well, I've just kind of spoken on the topic, is when you're applying for unis, think about applying to universities where the cost of living is cheaper. If you're doing graduate entry medicine and you apply to a uni in London and then you end up going to London and you're not from London, now you need to pay for accommodation in London. That's expensive, honey. Transport in London is expensive. So these are things to consider. Whereas other places in the country, much more affordable cost of living. The rent you'd be paying for a month in London could be the rent for 5 or 6 months in other places in the country. So really look about your options that way. Could you apply mainly to unis where the cost of living is cheaper? And so then, you know, your financial burden is less, because like I said before, there's lots of other costs with medicine, not just the tuition fees. Now, aside from that, lots of people that apply for graduate medicine have other commitments, so mortgages, children, spouses. You can't just uproot your whole family and move to a different part of the country. So I do understand that. But, you know, maybe think about mobilizing your community, the people around you. Is there anything you could do? Is there any service you could provide to help you raise funds, maybe on the side? There's lots of GoFundMes around, you know. Not that everyone wants to do a GoFundMe. I think that's a very exceptional thing to do. But you could do, a lot of people are involved in the church. Maybe you could go to your church and say, you know, guys, I'm trying to study medicine. This is how much it costs. If you need me to do XYZ for you, I can tutor your children, or I can do this just for a small donation or gift towards my journey to medicine, things like that. So that's all. You have to think outside the box sometimes to make these things happen and make them work. I hope that was useful. I know I've rambled for a few minutes. Thank you so much for watching. Please follow me on Instagram if you've not already, at Rumby the Medic, and make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, it's free, do it. But I will see you guys in my next video. Let me know what you want to see from me. Put it in the comments and let me know. Please thumbs up if this video was helpful. Can't get my words out. But yeah, thank you. See you in the next one.